So how do you set up for a jobs to be done switch interview? Here's an example from an interview I did with a lady called Victoria earlier on this year. Once I go through the introduction, I'll then flip this over and explain the techniques that are used.
Just before we begin, give you a bit of backstory on what it is I'm trying to do. So I've been tasked with some very, very early stage research. And what we're specifically interested in is the language people use as they describe realizing they've got a problem or an opportunity in their organization, how they go out and search for and appoint whichever provider helps them overcome that challenge, and then the experience working for or working with that company and the outcome. So the good news is it's about language. So it's your story in your own words. Yep. Can't get anything wrong. There's no trick questions, nothing like that. And if you can't remember anything, just say so. It's not a problem. No need to make something up. The bad news is where it's about language, I'll apologize up front because I'll almost certainly interrupt. And it's not because I want to be rude. It's just if you say something, I've got to make sure I understand what it means to you rather than maybe how I use it. And you can kind of think about this as like, imagine it's a Netflix documentary series. We're filming a different people with different consultants. This will be your episode. So I might ask some weird questions like I've got, my camcorder trying to shoot the scene, who's in the room, what's going on. But I find it just helps jog people's memory. And, those won't be the stupidest questions I ask today, I'm sure. So with that in mind, perhaps could you help set the scene by giving a bit of an introduction to yourself? Who are you? What's the job you're doing? What's the organization you're working for? What's the big picture in which your story takes place?
There's no great problem. So the second is I talk about the language that they use. So my focus is on the language. It's on the words that people describe. When you're interviewing technical people, they can sometimes think it's about software languages, but most people will latch onto this. It's just the way that they're talking. It's the words that they use in their own voice. That's very important because later on we're going to use those words to come back and create our own marketing. I tell her it's her own story, so she can't get anything wrong. And you can see she sort of chuckles a little bit, but again, it's putting her mind at ease. It's making this low risk and making it something where she can open up and she can share what she's got. Moving on, I talk about a Netflix documentary moment, and you'll see in later videos how we use that and how we bring that to life. But effectively in there, A, it's a bit fun, it's a bit quirky, but B, it's important that I can raise this up and say, okay, imagine I'm shooting the scene, imagine that I have to play you. What's the emotion, what's going on, what time of day is it? Getting somebody back into the moment so that their memory works and it jogs the story that we're looking for. There's a few other pieces in there. I wrap up on this by making another sort of humble joke about myself. And so this isn't the stupidest question that I'm going to ask. I'm setting the scene because I am going to ask some really dumb questions. And normally when you ask a dumb question, they will stop and say, that's not dumb, that's really smart. So some of the stupider questions are going to be your biggest allies in running this research, but get it out up front, get them to expect it so that you can then apologize again for it when you ask one. And then lastly, I want to segue into her story. So I need to know, before I can really dig into what she's bought and why she's bought it, who is she? Who does she work for? What's going on in, what is the context? What's the big picture behind her position and her story so that we can interpret this and we can make sense to it? And I can say, well, actually, is this a big company? Is it a small company? What do I need to know to make sense of the context that she's in when she makes this purchase? Because we know the context what drives the value. Cheers.